It's the late 2000s to early 2010s, and creepypastas are at the peak of their popularity. You're introduced to a world of Slender Man, Ben Drowned, Jeff the Killer, Sonic.exe, and maybe once you graduated from those, you checked out stories like Psychosis in 1999. These stories fostered a huge community and pulled millions of views, and might have kickstarted the indie horror craze from the late 2010s to the early 2020s. But the year is now 2025, and if you hear about creepypastas, if you even hear about them at all anymore, most people have a negative reaction or have just fully stopped paying attention and have moved on to other things. So in this video, we're gonna go over why it exactly lost popularity, and a little bit of the history of how creepypastas even got started on the internet. And if you like this kind of content, leave me a like to let me know, and let's get into this video, man. Now, it is somewhat debated, but most people claim that Ted the Caver was the first creepypasta ever created. This creepypasta was actually built on its own website from a hosting service called Angel Fire, which is actually still up to this day, and the website. Now, this story is a lot different from most creepypastas because it's almost an interactive website where you have segments to click on, photos to go with the story. But no matter how different it is from the final product, it did kickstart the idea of internet horror stories. It eventually traveled to other online forums and the website where almost everything's created on the internet, 4chan, and of course Newgrounds as well. Once creepypasta started to get more evolved and make its own name, there were some dedicated websites that some people made, places like creepypasta.com, and of course on Reddit, r/nosleep. Now, most people that read or listened to creepypastas during the golden age were probably born in the late 90s to mid 2000s, but most do not know that it started all the way back basically in the year they were born. So the fact that the origins of creepypasta date all the way back to the beginning of the millennia is a crazy fact in itself. Now, creepypastas got very popular in the 2010s, and with that much attention towards one trend, it's bound to start gathering hate and start to get maybe a little oversaturated. Slender Man in particular was one of the stories that just got mega viral back then. Had its own game, eventually ended up getting its own movie, and of course the horrible story of the two girls that unalived their friend. With the already dark imagery within the stories, which made the mainstream media and the older generation have a very dark outlook on this community. The gaming creepypastas also started to get very oversaturated and less well written. There were many stories that tried to be Sonic.exe and Ben Drowned, especially the .exe trend. I think that went all the way up to the 2020s almost. Stories like these will bring us to our next segment. Because it got so mainstream, and there were a lot of, we'll say, childish stories, a lot of people now look back on the community as being very corny, not well-written stories. Now, while a lot of those statements are true for some of the stories, there's almost two sides to the creepypasta. You had the gaming and Disney creepypastas, which were very popular with the younger fans. But as I said in the intro, some people started to graduate towards the more well-written, genuine horror stories. Ones that could almost be a Hollywood script, like Psychosis, Pen Pal, and if you haven't read or listened to the story Baraska, you need to. But quality creepypastas like this are few and far between. And as it started to get more saturated, like I said earlier, there was a lot more slop, we'll call it, posted. But I do think a lot of this is due to most creepypasta writers being very early in their writing careers. Now, like some of the points I made earlier, a lot of fans just outgrew these type of stories, especially those gaming and Disney stories I talked about earlier that stopped appealing to a lot of people. And a lot of the writers just went on to make legitimate writing careers. And of course, new trends in horror came along, which we will get into later on in this video. But for the most part, I think a lot of people just kind of got tired of it. A lot of the stories started to kind of sound the same or have the same type of progression. But every now and then, you would find that one good story that would keep you going. Now, it's no secret that most people consume creepypastas through YouTube and readings on YouTube, and didn't really visit the sites that these stories were posted to. Now, I will admit, I might have been one of those people, but I did go and read every now and then, I swear. And now, while a lot of YouTubers did leave credit in the description, most people either wouldn't click on the link, or the YouTubers just wouldn't at all. And these stories would get quite a bit of views on their original websites, but on YouTube, they'd get millions. which I'm sure a lot of writers were just happy to see their stories were just getting seen or even have games made about them. But I think a lot of writers also felt jaded over time. Now, I did hear that a lot of the bigger YouTubers would ask permission before reading the stories. Now, on those websites that the stories were originally posted on, such as creepypasta.com and r/nosleep, they started adding a lot of rules around how you can write your stories, and if you broke these rules, your story could possibly be deleted. There's a person named Chris on TikTok who used to write creepypasta stories, and he has a great video on his page explaining all of this. But to sum it up in short, they started adding rules like it can only be about paranormal, not real life. It has to be in the first person, no third person stories, no anthology horror. And I'm sure a lot of these writers felt like these rules were walling in their creativity and probably made the stories a little bit repetitive. Now, of course, many great stories still came after these rules came down, but it turned away a lot of writers. But I would really recommend going to Chris's page because he goes a lot more in depth into this. Now, a lot of new horror trends that sprouted up in the early 2020s almost replaced creepypastas in a way. Things like The Backroom, SCP Foundation. While some people would say that these started out as creepypastas, they've almost turned into their own thing. And with the cringe and corny label being put on creepypastas, a lot of writers and developers want to stray away from that label. And also the indie horror game trend went crazy too, which basically had you playing creepypasta-like stories, but in game form. In conclusion, all these factors together have brought down the creepypasta community. I do think the cringe label being put on the creepypasta name was a big factor, and also the stories getting kind of repetitive was another big one that turned me off personally. Now, saying that, there is still an active community. r/nosleep still has posts going up every day. Channels like Creeps McPasta, Dr. Creepin, Mr. Creepypasta, Mr. Creeps. I'm noticing a trend with these names. And Freaky Attractions, which I think is a pretty underrated channel. They're all still posting videos. Creepypasta.com I think is still active. So there is still a community and new stories coming out. So if you're an old creepypasta fan, or maybe you never even heard of them, it's still worth checking out in the year 2025, even if it's only for nostalgia. But that wraps up my video on creepypastas. Definitely a pretty decent part of my childhood. I used to listen to these stories all the time. I'd actually go on bike rides listening to these stories. So yes, I would touch grass while I was listening to creepypastas. Let me know if you like this style of video. This is definitely a different type of video than I usually post on the channel. Trying to bring more heavily edited content and also the iceberg videos back, if you guys remember those. Go ahead and leave in the comments what you think about it and maybe some more topics you want me to cover in the future. But like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and I'll see all y'all in the next one, man.